Hello guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Thunder. This is gonna be the first video of a tutorial series based on how to make a survival game. We will be covering a lot of things in this tutorial. We're gonna be covering player movement, player stats, AI, weapon systems, inventory systems. Basically, you'll be able to make a full-fledged survival game after this tutorial. So I'll leave you guys with the video and I hope you guys enjoy. You'll see this is the main Unity editor. This is where you will be making most of your work, designing your world, creating most of your things. So first thing we're gonna do is let's create a couple folders. This is just to keep the project organized. You don't really have to do it, but I recommend you do. So we're gonna create one for scripts. Inside of it, let's create a folder for player, create a folder for inventory, create another folder for weapons, and another folder for crafting, and the last folder over here is going to be for building. Let's go back to assets, create a new folder. We're going to call it models, create another one called sounds, and over here on models, let's just create a couple more folders. First, characters, then let's create one for weapons, create another one for structures, and this is where we'll have all of our models. The reason I'm doing this is because in this case this is just a tutorial, but once your project starts growing, it's gonna get really messy if you don't have it organized from the beginning, because that has happened to me. It's really annoying when that happens because you cannot find anything at all. So now let's go into scripts, player, and we're going to create a new C# script. We're gonna call it player. This is where all of our player logic will be in. So once it's there created, just double click on it and it will open Visual Studio. So once Visual Studio has opened, first thing, I'm going to explain some quick things here. For those of you who are new to coding, pretty much the update function is something that gets played constantly every single frame. This is where most of your ongoing logic will be. Then we have the start function, which, as it says here, is called just before the first frame of update, and it's only called once. So just keep that in mind, because if you're coding your own things, that's gonna be something vital to know. First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna create a couple of variables. First, let's create a private character controller. I'm just gonna name it CC for short. Then we're going to create private camera look. This will give you an error. Don't worry about it. We'll fix that later. Then next, I'm gonna do 2 spaces in here, but you don't really have to do it. This is just for ordering the things out on the inspector. Then we're gonna do 3 more variables, but over here we're gonna do square brackets, and we're gonna write serialized field. After that, we're gonna make it private float crouch speed. I'm just gonna give it a default value of 2. Don't worry about that, you'll be able to change it on the editor. That's just the default value it gets when you add the script. Then we're gonna do another serialized field, private float walk speed. I'm gonna make it 4. Then we're gonna do again another serialized field, private float run speed, and we're gonna give it a value of 7. Alright, then I'm gonna make another space. Again, you don't have to do this, it's just for keeping it organized. Again, serialized field, private float crouch transition speed. and let's do it 5. So basically these 3 variables over here are our movement speeds: crouch speed, walk speed, run speed. Then this one right here is how fast the camera will move, how fast we will crouch slash stand. So if you want faster crouching and standing, just up this value on the editor, and that should make it. But now let's go ahead and do a couple of things over here. We're going to do, first of all, actually never mind, go back to variables. Let's do the following. Let's do private, float, gravity, and we're gonna serialize this field too because we're gonna need it. I'm gonna give it a default value of -7. And now over here in start, we're going to do cc equals get component character controller. Basically what this is doing is getting the character controller that we have attached to our player, which is basically the game object. This script, the player script, is gonna be on. So it's just accessing that character controller. Next we're gonna do, what did he name the camera look? I'm just gonna rename it to cam. Then we're gonna do cam equals get component camera look. Now we're gonna add 2 more variables, which actually just one, sorry. Private float, do not serialize this field, it's not needed. And it's gonna be called the gravity acceleration. So now what we're gonna do over here is gonna be gravity acceleration equals gravity squared. So gravity times gravity. Then we're gonna multiply gravity times time that delta time. Gravity acceleration times equals time that delta time. Okay, so that's pretty much it for a start function. Now down here, go ahead and create a private void movement. This is gonna be where all our movement code will be in. All the code that's gonna go into this function, you could just put it on update if you wanted, but I'm just gonna do it to keep the code organized. So now over here, do movement, so it gets called every frame. But we'll actually change update. Instead of update, do fixed update. This is something that get called less often than update. It's basically based on time, the time that it's going on a project, not the actual frames. So this is gonna be needed so we're moving smoother and jumping works better. So next, we're going to do a vector 3. We're gonna call it move dir. Then this is gonna be equals to vector3.0. Next, we're going to get our key input. If input.getKey keycode.w and is not input.getKey keycode.s, we're going to do movedir.z plus equals 1. Next, let's just copy and paste this three times. On the second one, where it says, we're just gonna switch W for S and S for W. Third one, we're going to do S is gonna be A. This one's gonna be D. Then over here where it says move there, instead of Z, use X. And same thing over here, but instead of on W we'll do A, and on S we'll do D. And again, move there.x instead of move there.z. Basically what we're doing here is just saying if we're pressing W and we're not pressing S, do move there that forward plus 1, else do it -1, which we have to do Over here, instead of plus, do minus. Same thing down here, do minus. Alright, so next we're going to actually apply our speeds. So we're gonna do the following. We're gonna go if input dot get key code dot left shift. Then we're going to multiply move direction, move there, times or okay, let me just put this back. Times or run speed. We're gonna do over here if we are pressing, so input dot get key left control, and we're not pressing left shift, then we'll do our crouching speed. Left shift instead of left control. We'll multiply move direction times or crouch speed. And then we'll do else. Okay, this damn bracket is driving me crazy. Over here where it says if, also else, so it's else if. After this, again do else, not if, just else, and we'll do move direction times equals walk speed. Okay, next let's do our jumping. For jumping, we're gonna have to add a new variable, which I forgot about. So this is gonna be, it's gonna be a serialized field again, private float, and we're gonna call it jump force. We'll give it a default value of 5.5. That's gonna be how high we jump. So if you want to jump higher, just make the value bigger. So over here, if our character control is grounded, so if cc dot is grounded, we do this code, and it's gonna do y velocity equals 0, and then if input dot get key code dot space, we do y velocity equals jump force. It's gonna give you an error in y velocity, so let's go back here and create our y velocity, private float y velocity, and we are not gonna assign a value to it. So down here where it says y velocity equals jump force, after on this if, we're gonna do else. So if we're not on the ground, y velocity plus equals gravity acceleration times time dot delta time. So we use time dot delta time when we want our values to be used based on the time that's passing on our game, and not the value that's passing on frames. So what's happening on every frame. Also down over here, add a bracket, which I forgot about, and delete these because we're already multiplied times time dot delta time. Now next thing we're gonna do, it's gonna be we're gonna make it so we're not moving based on the poles. So basically when I say poles, I mean the global position. So right now if we move, even if we're facing southwest, let's say, you're gonna still move forward towards the north. So we're gonna make it so we actually move based on our position. But first let's do move dir dot y equals y velocity. Then we're going to do move dir equals transform direction, and inside the brackets we put move dir, the parentheses, sorry. Then we're gonna do move dir times equals time dot delta time, and then we're gonna do cc dot move there. Okay, so that's gonna be all for movement. Now we're gonna do we actually change our position and our collision when we crouch. So add 2 brackets over here, same with these other 2 ifs. Add the brackets again, same thing over here. Alright, once the brackets are added, we're going to go ahead and type in here. We're going to do cam dot transform dot position, actually local position, sorry. Why isn't it auto completing? I don't know, Visual Studio decided to not autocomplete now. Okay, equals vector3 dot lerp. So lerp basically moves smoothly between one position and another at the speed we give it, which in this case is gonna be our cam transition speed or camera transition speed. So we're gonna do cam dot transform dot local position, comma, new vector3. We're gonna do 2 more parentheses, and we're gonna do inside of them 0, 2, 0. So basically we're gonna say so move our camera from its current local position to the local position of 0, 2. So sideways 0, upwards 2, forward/backwards 0. Then we're gonna do another comma after that parenthesis, and we're gonna give it the speed, which in this case is gonna be our crouch transition speed, and we're gonna multiply times time dot delta time. Alright, so that's it for this line of code. Close with the brackets and let's go down. Now over here we're going to make sure that our collision has it's actually how it's supposed to be. In this case we're not going to be crouching, so we're just going to set it to be the height of our character. So we're going to do cc.height equals mathf.lerp. Again, mathf.lerp is like vector3.lerp, just with a number. And we're going to do cc.height, 2, crouch transition speed times time delta time. Close the bracket. Now we're going to do cc.center equals vector3.lerp. And we're going to do cc.center, new vector3. In this case we're going to do 0, 1, 0. Then after the parentheses do a comma, and we're going to put again crouch transition speed times time delta time. Close with the brackets, and okay, here's lerp, not left. Alright, so now we're going to copy these lines of code. We're going to put it on walk speed. Don't change anything, just that on walk speed the way it is. And now on crouch over here we're going to make a couple changes. So for this first one, instead of 2 we're going to do 1. Second line again, and instead of 2 we're going to do 1.2, and make sure to put the f after the number, because basically when you put a float variable, a float number, you must put the f specifying it's a float, otherwise it will give you an error. So keep that in mind whenever you're doing your own code. And over here we're gonna do 0.59f. Alright, so that's pretty much it for player code. Now go back to the Unity editor, and first of all I'm gonna leave you guys the following script down below. It's gonna be called camera look. It's basically for the camera movement and making sure that we are facing the right direction. So I'm gonna leave it down in the description. Just go ahead and download it, import it into here. Just drag it from the folder and drop it over here. And that will do it. So I'm gonna do that quickly and I'll come back in a second. Alright guys, I already imported the script. It's this one right here. So now we're gonna make our character. So first let's right click over here on hierarchy. We're going to go 3D object terrain. This is gonna be our world terrain. I'm just gonna move it a little bit towards here. You don't have to do that, but I just do it because I want to. Now we're going to do right click again, but we're gonna do create empty. We're gonna call it player. Now I'm just gonna put it to 0 over here on position 0 0. And now go to where it says main camera, select it, then drag it into player. So this is done, so you'll see the difference right now. Over here, before I show you that, select camera again, and over here on position where it says Y, give it a position of 2. Now here's what I mean why we drag the camera into the player. So right now, if it's not in the player and we move around, you'll see that we're moving our player, but over here you cannot see anything, like it's just static. So let me just reposition the player. Now let's drag it back into there. Okay. Now when we move, you can see the camera's moving with the player. So that's why we do that. Okay, so now go over to main camera and go all the way down. Over here where it says add component, click on it and select camera look. And now right here where it says non-transform, we drag our player object. And over here you have a couple settings which I'll explain. You got your sensitivity, which is how fast your camera moves. This is up to you how you want to put it. I'm just gonna put it at 10 because I like to play on high sensitivity. Then is your vertical top limit. This is how far up you can look. I just put it 90 degrees. Make sure that when you're looking up it's negative degrees, when you're looking down it's positive degrees. I know it's counterintuitive, it should be the other way, but that's just the way rotation works in Unity. And these last 3 things, don't worry about them. That's for recoil, which we'll cover on a later tutorial. Right now just focus on these 3 variables. So now that we've done this, let's go back to our player. And over here we're just gonna hit add component again. We're gonna do character controller. And over here where it says center, we'll do 1. We'll do Hades 2, yeah that's right. Now go again and add component. And we're gonna do player. We're gonna add our player script. And right here, as you can see, you got your crouch transition speed, your jump force, your run speed, walk speed, and crouch speed. So if you want to run, move crouching, or walk faster, just modify these values to your liking. I just put them like this by default because that's the way I like them. But you can put whatever values you want. Now, let me just get my mouse. So now that we have all of this, make sure to save your scene. So Control S, then hit over here play. Okay, I forgot to move the camera to the right position. Yeah, it's so make sure it's 0 on X and Z and 2 on Y. Alright, let's save it and hit play. So now you can see we can look around. Okay, there's an error somewhere. Oh, okay, I know what the error is. So go back up on your code on Visual Studio, and over here where it says cam equals get component, do get component in children, because the camera look script is below us. It's inside the player's object, which is the one that has this script. Save it, and let's go back to Unity Editor. Alright, there we go. Let's see now. So now you can see Okay, yes, I messed it up because it cannot be -7. Let's just do 7 in this case. Just things that happen. Okay, I don't know what's causing this, so give me 1 second and I'll fix it, then I'll show you guys what to do. Alright guys, so it's fixed. Basically all you have to do is keep it on -7 on gravity, go over here to Visual Studio, and where it says Y velocity we had a plus equals gravity acceleration, do minus equals. Now you can see that if we hit play, let me just save it. So now you can see that we can move around, we can jump. Although jump, it's kind of low, like, so let's give it a value of 7. Also, one more thing, if you're new to Unity, maybe you don't know this, but any changes you do to anything on your screen while paused will not save. So make sure you're not on play mode. So just hit here, go out of play mode and change it. I'm just doing it here just to check. Still way too low. Let's do 9. Yeah, that's more like it. Alright, so just gonna play the value again, 9. And that's pretty much it for this tutorial, guys. You have a basic character controller with your main camera. You can move around, jump, everything. So next tutorial we'll be getting started on player inventory and player stats. So just go ahead and watch the next one. It should already be up at the same time as this one. So go ahead and watch it. Just make sure that everything works as you want it in here. Play around with the values. Just find the right speeds for your game. Again, you don't have to do everything exactly as I do. It's your project, it's your game. Do it the way you want it. We're gonna be doing a lot of things on this tutorial series. We're gonna be doing player inventory, building system, which is gonna be kind of like the one in Rust. So if you like that game, there you go. You can make a sort of a Rust clone or a game inspired by that. It's up to you. Also, we're going to have weapon systems, which are going to be tied to the inventory. We're going to have an ammo count system, reloading, all of that. That's on a normal survival game. There's also going to be farming, a lot of really cool things to add to a game. We're going to cover all of that in here. I don't think the tutorial series will go past the 10 episodes, so it's not going to be that long. So yeah, that's pretty much it for it. So if you like the video, like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. It always helps. And I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.